right, everybody, welcome to the AWS Certified AI Practitioner exam or AIF-C01 course. This program is especially designed to help you understand, navigate, and apply artificial intelligence using the power suite of AWS tools and services. So whether you're a professional looking to implement an AI within your organization or simply intrigued by the incredible advancement in this field, you are in the right place. So it goes without saying that AI is reshaping the way we approach business, technology, and even our day-to-day lives. So AWS, as one of the global leaders in cloud computing, offers a robust ecosystem to develop and deploy AI solutions, right? From natural language processing to computer vision and everything in between. With AWS tools like Amazon SageMaker, Recognition, Comprehend, Poly, Bedrock, you can build applications that were once unimaginable. Now, why is this certification important, right? The AWS Certified AI Practitioner credential is designed for individuals who want to gain foundational knowledge of AI and machine learning on AWS. It is an ideal starting point if you want to demonstrate your understanding of AI concepts and their practical applications in real world scenarios. So I'll tell you that about 30 years ago in 1995 or 94, when Microsoft Windows 95 was about to come and there was a lot of hype. Cisco was entering the market at that time. Networking was a key. And there was a certification that was introduced, CCNA, Cisco Certified Network Administrator. Think of this exam, AWS Certified AI Practitioner, as that, an entry-level exam where you will get your confidence to be able to speak and start your journey, right? So what you learn, I mean, in this first section, we'll set the stage for your journey into AI by discussing the basics. I'll try to cut out the hype and provide you with a clear understanding of what AI really is and how it applies specifically within the AWS ecosystem. While terms like AI, machine learning, and deep learning are, they're just thrown around interchangeably. But it's critical to understand the distinctions. And we'll go deeper into this, but for right now, it's good enough to know AI refers to the broad field of creating systems that can mimic human intelligence, while machine learning is a subset of AI which focuses on building algorithms and allow machines to learn from data. We'll have some hands-on experience in machine learning using SageMaker, but that's a lot more to come. And so what is deep learning? Deep learning is a specialized branch of machine learning, which uses neural networks, artificial or neural networks inspired by the human brain to, and they tackle complex tasks like image recognition and natural language understanding. Now, I mean, by now you may be asking, why AWS for AI? Okay. So AWS offers unparalleled flexibility, scalability, and a comprehensive set of AI services that empower businesses to innovate faster. As an individual, it gives you a lot of tools to learn, to practice, play in their playground, and then if it makes sense for your organization, or if your organization is using the tools, then you are also comfortable with it. And eventually you become an expert on the tools and the technology that the organization that you're working for, or if you're looking for an employment, whatever is in demand. All right. So what is the real value of AI on AWS? Now, look, because I have spent 30 years in technology, I want you to understand the value of this course, and maybe it will resonate with you, maybe it doesn't. My approach is very simple. I know that people have diverse goal when they start a course. Sometimes they just want to pass the exam, and that's fine. If you just want to pass the exam, I have a lot of material for you. you could pretty much go in all through all the mock tests, and in the last chapter, spend some time there. You should be okay. But if you're someone who's just graduating college or high school and you're looking for a job or you're transitioning between jobs and you've heard of AI or you want to get your feet wet, in that case, I would say, hey, listen to all the use cases and at least watch all the labs, right? At least watch the labs, even if you don't do it. What that does is that after you have passed the exam, now you're certified. And when you're going for your job interview, you'll be able to have a conversation that's real, that your hiring manager would understand. If you're going to retail organization for a job interview, definitely talk about predicting customer demand, right? Or how we could improve inventory management. And that will give some warm and fuzzy to the hiring manager as well. Hey, this guy is not a paper tiger. He just doesn't have a certification. He knows what he's talking about. Same as healthcare, education, transportation, and we'll have a lot of things here, right? So, what to expect from this course? Number one, over the next 12 sections, right, we'll explore AWS AI ecosystem in depth. So we'll focus on, what are some of the applications available? How do we harness its power of AWS and the real world, and how do we use it to solve problems? My goal is to demystify AI concept. So I want you to be able to feel comfortable, just like I feel comfortable having a conversation about artificial intelligence with very senior business leaders, technology leaders. I want you to have that level of comfort as well. So we'll talk a lot about AI, what is AI, what is machine learning, and what is deep learning, and what is generative AI, right? When it comes to AWS, we'll focus on Amazon SageMaker, Amazon Recognition, Bedrock, of course, Amazon Recognition. So some of the key industry applications that have a lot of brand in industry, right? So if you talk to most of the people will say, hey, Bedrock has the best guardrails when it comes to LLMs. Okay. Some people will say, hey, SageMaker is the easiest machine learning tool to use. So, but AWS is not the only game in town, right? So there are competitors. Microsoft and Google have some of these services as well. But in this course, we're focusing only on AWS because in the exams, all the questions will be from AWS, right? So we'll walk through the domains and task statements if we need to, and we'll go over a lot of use cases and a lot of question and answer. So questions and answers, I'm not going to cheat you by giving you, what you could find in some of the exam guide and, those dumps for like $200, real exam, 500 questions. I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to waste time going through those 500 questions because I know how difficult it is. Look, I've been in your shoes, so I know how difficult it is. And there's not really a lot of value in just raw knowledge of memorizing, hey, this is what happens, this is the question. So in my methodology, what I do is that I've convert those questions that the OEM vendor is asking you into a challenge, into a business challenge that you can solve by either identifying an application or by identifying the steps or the processes. All right. So what that does in my mind, you will be able to retain the information and you will be fair and square, honestly, passing the exam just like somebody who spent 200 hours memorizing that, whatever, the exam guide, pass ratio, whatever you guys use, those 500 questions. All right. So that's the way, this course would be used, right? So now, why this certification matters? So completing the certification just doesn't enhance your technical skills, right? It positions you as a leader in the AI space, capable of guiding teams and organizations in their AI adoption journeys, right? So by the end of this course, you'll have the foundational knowledge to confidently work with AWS AI tools and even explain these concepts to stakeholders or colleagues. I want to emphasize that AI is not just about technology, it's about using that technology to create real world impact. So, throughout this course, We'll show use cases. We'll talk about use cases. I have a lot of stories to tell and a lot of insights to share with you, because the organizations that I've worked for and I've been lucky enough to have exposure. So throughout this course, we will be talking through. I'll be sharing insights. I'll be talking about the use cases that is stick that's relevant to your exam. All right. So let's begin. As we dive into the this section, keep in mind that understanding the basics will lay the groundwork for advanced topics. So let's embark on this exciting journey together to explore the world of AI through the lens of AWS. By the end of this course, you'll have a clear understanding of what is AI, how it works, and it has incredible potential to transform businesses and industries and your career, your life as well. So let's get it started. All right, guys, before we dive into the course, let me take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Ibrahim Malick. I am your instructor for the AWS Certified AI Practitioner, or AIF-0C01 course. I bring over 30 years of IT experience to the table, right? So I've worked for companies like AT&T, Cisco, Fortinet, and a whole bunch of others. Supporting for these large agencies, companies, I was supporting their customer like Coca-Cola, United Nations, several government agencies, some small businesses. Most of them were global large businesses, but there were some small businesses as well. As an AWS Certified Solutions Architect professional, I work with businesses and organizations of all sizes. I mean, mostly large, but there are some as well, helping them embrace digital transformation and leverage cutting-edge technologies. Now, beyond AWS, I have also earned certifications from industry leaders like Cisco, Google, NVIDIA, or security certifications like CISM. So I'm passionate about not just teaching, but also empowering learners to unlock their potential. Look, anybody can get this, and not anybody, but if you try, you'll get your certification. But that is not the end result that you're achieving for, right? You're either looking for a better job, or you're looking to move from same organization, within your organization, from one role to the other role, or you know maybe you're in between jobs and looking for new skills to get employed. So for that, you don't have to cram all the questions and answer. But what I try to do is I will add the anecdotes, my personal experiences as we go, so that when you go for a job interview after passing the test, you would have something to talk about. You're not just going to go in blank. Okay. Right. So but this isn't about my expertise, right? It's about helping you achieve your goals. So whether you are here to advance your career, build a strong foundation in AI, or simply stay ahead in a fast evolving technological landscape, just pass the exam, whatever your purpose, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. I believe that learning should be engaging, practical, and applicable to real world scenarios. And that's why this course is designed not just to help you pass the AWS exam, AIFCO1 exam, but also to prepare you to use AI in meaningful ways within your organization or projects. Right. As you go through this course, I'll share real world examples, industry insights, and hands-on exercises to make the concepts more alive. My goal is to ensure you leave this course not only with the certification, but also with the confidence to apply your skills efficiently, and also to be able to talk about it in job interviews with your peers and others, right? So let's embark on this exciting journey, as I've been saying. Let's keep going. Let's master the art of fundamentals of AI, understand the power of AWS, and pave the way for your next big step in the world of technology. I'm thrilled to have you here, and I look forward to supporting you every step of the way. So after you pass the exam, please make sure that you let me know on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to share your success with my group of network, who are mostly technologists, albeit most of them are in the United States and Canada, but it's still I'm happy to share your success on my timeline as well. All right, so let's get it started. All right, everybody, welcome back. So in this section, we will dive into the AWS Cloud Adoption Framework for Artificial Intelligence, or AWS CAF, which is designed to help organizations effectively adopt and scale AI, machine learning, and generative AI technologies. So don't think of it just written for organizations that you'll be working for. Yes, that is the primary audience, but you as an employee, as a consultant, or a prospective employee, you should also know this framework so that when you're having a conversation, you know what are some of the key areas that people talk about, think about, right? Very good. So this framework basically acts as a strategic guide to align AI initiatives with business goals. So think about that carefully, right? So this is a playbook basically so that your AI initiatives, your technology initiatives are totally aligned with the business goals and accelerating innovation, not just for the science project, but because it delivers business value. All right. So let's start by exploring how this framework can transform your AI journey. So the agenda. Here is what we'll cover in this lecture. We will start with an introduction to AWS CAF AI, then dive into its foundational capabilities. We will examine the 6 key perspectives within the framework and how they apply to your AI transformation journey. Finally, we will conclude with best practices for success. All right. So what is AWS CAF AI, right? What is it? So it's a framework to guide artificial intelligence, machine learning, and generative AI adoption. Right? It's a guide of guide of how to do AI. Right? It builds upon the AWS Cloud Adoption Framework, which has been used by pretty much every organization that uses AWS, and AWS has a really large share of the cloud, right? So there's already that successful adoption framework that has been tried and tested. AI is basically an addition, right, to that framework. Now, because it focuses on achieving, business outcomes, we think about this framework not only as a technical architectural but a framework that has perspective from different mindsets, right? So it focuses on leveraging AI to achieve tangible business outcomes, right? It addresses unique challenges in technology integration, right? Whether you are exploring AI for the first time or your organization is scaling its initiatives, this framework helps align AI strategy with organizations' objectives. Right? Right. Moving on to foundational capabilities. So the CAF AI emphasizes 6 foundational perspectives: business, governance, platform, security, and operations. These pillars support an iterative approach to AI transformation and basically, ensuring each steps builds upon the last one, right? That's why it's iterative, right? By addressing these areas comprehend. Now, your organization or you, right? You're part of that organization can develop a strong foundation for sustained success. All right, so let's talk about perspective. The first one would be the business perspective. So the business perspective focuses on integrating AI into your organization's strategic planning. right? So, a couple of things to remember here. Strategy management ensures alignment with business goals. All right, strategy management that is in alignment with business goal. And product management addresses the life cycle of AI-driven offerings, right? So you would have a product management and you also have a strategy management, right? And innovation basically, is key to staying ahead, right? And portfolio management helps prioritize AI initiatives. So portfolio management basically identifies initiatives, right? And then works with the strategy management and product management and the line of businesses. So by embedding AI in the organization's DNA, right? Organizations unlock new revenue streams. So, they can figure out how to upsell to a customer that was already there, right? Or how to attract new customers, how to increase where to decrease the cost of production, right? So it unlocks new revenue streams, it enhances operational efficiency and delivers, exceptional customer experience. So moving on to the people perspective. In the people perspective, workforce transformation is vital, okay? It's about attracting, retaining, and enabling talent that is skilled in AI. And there are not too many, okay? Machine learning fluency ensures your team speaks a common language, aligning technical and business objectives. Culture evolution fosters an environment where, innovation thrives. It enables your business to transition into an AI first culture, right? Always thinking about AI as a first step. And then collaboration across teams and leadership is crucial because you can't get it done without that collaboration between all the team members and the leadership. All right, moving on to the governance perspective. So governance in AI is about building trust, okay? And responsible AI addresses ethical concerns and biases. It ensures transparency, right? Risk management helps mitigate legal and operational risks. You have to remember that. So risk management helps mitigate legal and operational risk, while data governance ensures the quality and security of your data sets. Okay? A strong governance framework aligns AI initiatives with your organization's value and compliance requirement. Moving on to the platform perspective. The platform perspective emphasizes creating robust infrastructure for AI. So from managing the AI lifecycle to automating data flows, this perspective ensures your systems are scalable and resilient, all right? ML ops or machine learning ops integrates development and operations for seamless deployment and monitoring of AI models, right? So just building it and then deploying it and then managing it and scaling it, all of this basically is within the platform perspective, right? And this is where technical capabilities basically translate into business value, okay? Because this is the platform that delivers the business value. So the security perspective, security is critical in AI adoption, okay? First and foremost, so security first. Protecting your AI workloads involves your robust encryption, secure access controls, and monitoring for vulnerabilities. All right. Adversarial attacks and data breaches pose significant risk. And, in AI, in the world of AI, that risk actually increases, right? Because your threat vector has increased as well. But AWS provides tools to safeguard your systems. But what you have to do is prioritize security and so that you ensure integrity and trustworthiness of your AI applications. The operations perspective focuses on maintaining efficiency and reliability in AI workloads. By streamlining processes and monitoring performances, organizations can ensure consistent delivery of value, right? So basically what you're doing is you're streamlining your processes and also monitoring the performance, right? That the changes that you made, what was the value, what value did you achieve, right? So this perspective integrates seamlessly with governance and platform strategy, right? So operations perspective very well integrates with governance and platform strategy, and together, they all drive operational excellence. So AI transformation stages, right? So AI transformation is a journey, and like most journeys, it has distinct phases, milestones, if you will, right? So the first phase is envisioning, right? Envisioning helps identify high impact opportunities. So you look at different business cases and you determine, all right, this business case is going to deliver X dollar of in value, and this is going to take X amount of effort or expense, right? And then you say, all right, this is going to this initiative may have a very scalable impact, but it requires the entire organization's data, or it is something that that's you cannot take it as in one chunk, right? So you envision that, then you figure it out, right? And then you align it. How do you align it? Alignment ensures cross-functional collaboration and capability development, right? So again, you're not just doing something for the science sake, right? Just because AI is cool, you're not just doing it because of that, right? Because you work with your line of business, you know what are the priorities, what challenges they're trying to address, or what values they're trying to achieve, get out of it. With that, when you launch, right? So the launch phase, test the pilot, right? It's pilot project. So first of all, you're going to, before you launch, right, you're going to pilot something. You may want to put that in pilot production mode, and then maybe even roll that out into production. Some organizations would do that, but it's still some, just an idea. So if you want to then have it done at a scale, right? How would you do these things at a scale on very broad deployment? So if you are working with AWS tools, right, you know that you have redundancies, you have geographic redundancy, you have infrastructure on demand. You can scale your compute, your storage. You can go get GPUs if you need, right? So you can do a lot of those things at a scale when you are with AWS, I mean. Yeah. So moving on to best practices, right? So to adopt AI successfully, you need to start working backwards from your business goals. So figure out what problem you're trying to solve, what are some of the challenges, or where are the new revenue streams that you're trying to capture, right? And then foster a culture that values data as asset, right? And most organizations by now, of course, value their data as asset, but not every one of them have a very tight governance model. Not all of them understand where all the data is and how to get value out of every piece of information that you have. Some may be sitting on old mainframe or AS400 systems, right? Some could be running on your Linux. Some could be running in different type of databases, right? So that is definitely, I mean, if you think about working backward from business goals, if your organization can foster a culture that's data driven, and you're always thinking about responsible AI, then yeah, these practices will not only mitigate risk but they will also enhance trust and adoption across the stakeholders, right? So you can say with a high level of confidence that the system, the value that what value they are getting. Okay. All right, so let's wrap it up. AWS CF AI is a powerful tool for navigating AI adoption, right? It's like a playbook. You can think of it as, how-to guide, right? By focusing on its foundational capabilities and perspectives, or your organization, and can drive innovation and achieve meaningful outcomes. All right. So remember to approach this AI journey iteratively, like most other technology adoption journeys, and ensure alignment with your business objectives every step of the way. Okay. So even though you can be classified as a part of the app dev team or security or IT or overall technology team, but you have to remember that you're working for a business. Okay? Thank you. All right. So in this first lab, we will dive into the AWS free tier offering, right? AWS provide customers with the ability to explore and try out AWS services free of charge, up to a specified limits for applicable services, right? And by the end of this module, and after watching me how to set it up, and you should be able to go ahead and start your own free tier account, and then we can, do a deeper dive in other areas. All right. So with that said, let's just start. Again, welcome to this module where we'll be looking at setting up AWS free tier account for 12 months, and we'll see how we access it, how we set it up, and some of the gotchas. All right. So it's an introduction to offerings, right? So in this module, we will dive into AWS free tier offerings, which, they said. By the end of this module, you'll be able to differentiate between the AWS free tier offers, locate free tier offerings, and identify free tier details and usage limits, right? Because this is extremely important. Because you don't want to, set up something in a free tier, thinking you don't have to pay, and then you end up getting a bill, right? Those, those gotcha moments, those surprises, I'm going to help you reduce those surprises. So the AWS free tier is offered across 100 plus services and allows you to get hands-on experience with services such as EC2 or Amazon S3 or RDS, right? And the free tier provides three types of offers. Some services are free to a certain limit every month. Others are free for up to 12 months. And some services are short-term free trials, typically 30 or 60 days. So knowing the differences between these tiers will help, will equip you with the decision-making power as you begin your free tier journey and exploration of AWS services. With that said, we'll move on. Now, free tier consists of three distinct offerings, okay? Knowing the free tier usage limit as well as the trial period length are important. So you don't end up with, like I said, a surprise bill later on. So free trials are short-term trial offers that begin when usage first begins, right? Once the trial period expires, you simply pay standard pay-as-you-go service rates. Services with a short-term trial are free to use for a specified period of time or up to a one-time limit depending on the service selected, right? So 12 months free offers are only available to new AWS customer and are available for 12 months following your sign up date. Services with an always free, right, offer allow you to use the product for free for up to specified limits as long as you have a valid AWS account. So regardless of
The free tier offering, you switch to standard pay-as-you-go rates when you exceed the free tier usage limit. Be sure to check out each service page for full pricing details and for more information. For more information, you can visit aws.com/free. And I'll show you that in a minute as well. So now what I want you to do is basically, navigate to the AWS free tier page. How could you do that? You can just simply go to Google and just type in AWS free tier page and you'll get to it, right? It's very simple, very intuitive. You create an account, you verify your email address, then you verify your phone number, you put in your credit card information, which is not, you are not charged. I think you're probably charged $1 just to verify that you have a card, and then it's actually held until you incur a cost. So that is not a very difficult task to do, but I will go ahead and set it up for you, and we will quickly take a look at it. All right. Now, so with as I said, you will set up your AWS account by providing contact information and payment details, right? You'll enter your personal or professional account. You'll provide payment verification information, and after that, you will get you'll need to do a phone verification, so you can choose SMS or call for a one-time passcode, right? So you verify you enter that code, and then your phone is pretty much registered as well, just like you would for any other application that you may use, right? So, like I said, not super easy, but I'm giving you instructions here, and then I'll share my screen in a minute. So after you've set up your account, right, then you have to create a user, right? So basically, what you do is you create add multi-factor authentication. So you would, and I'll show you. You would navigate to your IAM console, and you will add, an MFA, right? So in my case, I use Google Authenticator, so we'll do that. We'll scan the code. We'll enter in our authenticator, and I'll show you how that would work. All right. So let's talk about the free tier limits as well, because you have this first you've got 12 months, right? So you've got 12 months of free. What does that include for you, right? So you get 750 hours of EC2 compute. You get 5 gig of S3 storage, and you also get a 750 hours of RDS database share. You get a 30 gigabits of EBS storage. Now, that's may seem like a lot as you start your journey. But before you know it, before you have a couple of applications, right? I mean, assume that you also turn on Bedrock, or you want to do some machine learning uh, practice. You turn on SageMaker. You start uploading some data in it, right? Before you know it, you would start exceeding these numbers. So that's why I want you to, always think about it and keep coming back, right? So what is that? What are some of the things that are always free? Services with an always free offer, allow you to use the product for free up to specified time limits, right? So in this account, for example, you would do that, and that is for up to 12 months, and that's and but you can also do short-term trials, right? As we discussed earlier. So one other thing that to qualify for AWS free tier is available to all types of customers and students, right? Entrepreneurs and small businesses and future 500 companies. So anybody, right? You could be a student learning about AWS cloud fundamentals, or you could be a small business owner who plans to launch your business website, or you might even be a senior manager of a large organization evaluating a machine learning experience, right? So these comes in handy for everyone. All right. So some of the use cases, right? I mean, let's look at a few use cases, right, on how AWS free tiers can be combined to meet a variety of cloud computing goals. First, there may be a student looking to upskill in cloud computing and has just started learning about AWS. So here are some ways to combine free tier offers to meet this goal. They could use EC2 to deploy a Windows server. They may also look at adopting S3 to host their images, right? And if they wanted to set up a serverless database, they could consider using RDS Aurora, right? The second use case would be a small business owner who wants to build and host websites and apps, right? They may consider using AWS Amplify for front-end web and mobile development, and to quickly and easily build full stack applications. Although I'm not going to go into those those services, because we are only looking at the AI services and the services that would be included, that you could be asked for in your AI FCO1 exam, right? So, you know, the business could also leverage Amazon Honeycode for building productivity applications quickly, right? And again, all of this without any programming. This is like a no code work leader, right? And if you are a technology leader who's thinking about cloud computing, and you could definitely start working with things like storage, but at the same time, you can also look at things like SageMaker to build and train and deploy machine learning models with fully managed infrastructure. I mean, think about. I mean, it wouldn't be an easy task, right? To set up a platform, just the infrastructure, so you can train your data or your rag to do certain things. But just to get going, your capital investment will be so much so that you're better off, you know, working with Amazon and the offers that Amazon already has. Okay, so trouble again. This slide was for troubleshooting common issues. Yeah, I mean, couple of things. If OTP is not being verified, I mean, it could be a country code. I forget to sometime write +1, right? Or 92 for Pakistan, 91, whatever your country code is, just make sure that you've added that. Uh, so if your account is shows up as in hold, so the credit card that you've put in, that maybe no, that probably wasn't verified, right? And then if there are credential validations there, so you can look at the check system time and network, right? And I will show you where all these documentations that would help you with this. There are a lot of useful resources, and I will make sure that you have access to all of them, or most of them, right after this lab. I will show you how some of those work as well, and then you can definitely you start using them. I would recommend bookmarking a lot of AWS websites, sites that you will be coming back to in future. All right, so wrap this up, right? Follow the steps to create AWS free tier account. So the steps that I've talked about and the screen sharing that I'll do now. And then once you have your AWS free tier account, log into console and explore AWS services. Just explore as many as you can, right? And just you can also go to the AWS free tier page and examine key areas that can help you better navigate and make decisions, right? Uh, watch the demo that I will add to at the end of this lecture. All right, so that is it for now. I'll see you soon. All right, so we will start with an AWS free account search on Google. As you would see, the first link actually that comes up, I will just click on that link, and now it brings me to this page. This is the page where I will create my account. But before we do that, I want you to, take a look at this, get to know this page, right? An overview, what you'll find, right? This is free trial. What does that mean, right? 12 month, you have a 12 months of free. So these free tier offers are available to new AWS customers. Okay, so that's basically the keyword is for. And when your 12-month free usage term expires, or if your application use exceeds the tiers, you'll simply pay standard pay as you go services, right? So you have to think about that. That look, here are the services, however, that you get free. Let's do it. I'm gonna just go for not trials. Let's filter it on 12 months free. All right. So, 12 months free, I'm getting 750 hours of Amazon EC2, right? So it's a resizable compute, right? So basically you're getting a Windows T2 micro per month, uh, 750 hours per month on a Windows T2 micro or a T3 micro instance. It depends on the region, so you have to be careful as to if it is available, right? So, and 750 hours per month of a public IP address. No, right? No. You get 5 gigabit of storage. So if you need more, then of course you'll have to pay for it, right? Uh, and then you get a database services for 750 hours as well. So this is in, Amazon RDS. So you get a single AZ database.db.t3.micro or a db.t4.micro instance, right? You could be running MySQL, MariaDB, or PostgreSQL database, and you have up to 750 hours of an RDS single instance with a DBT3 micro, and it will be running the SQL Server Express edition. So there are some use cases where you may want to just use the RDS DBT3 micro instance with a SQL Server Express, right? What other things that are free for you, right? Amazon Open Search, Kendra, basically it used to be called. That product is there. It's an excellent product. Could be integrated with other AI tools. Now in Maya, you can see that Amazon Comprehend is available to you, right? You have, if you want to do, let's check for things that are relevant to this course. So Amazon Lex, you can build a bot. You can practice with a bot. You can get up to 10,000 text requests per month on that. You can play with Amazon Poly, so you can do a text to speech or Amazon recognition for, image recognition. You could also, I'm sure you have SageMaker here. You have Amazon Transcribed, Amazon Translate, free of cost. I mean, look, you've got a lot here that you can start practicing, and by the time you get to your job, you would know what you're doing, and you'll not be a complete novice. You would have some information. Amazon Augmented AI, you have 500 objects, right? You you have Amazon AWS Health Imaging. If you are applying to an organization in health industry, definitely you may want to go and play around with it, right? I mean, these are the things that make you more valuable. So these are the categories, right? If we go into artificial intelligence, so these are the free AI services, right? You have pre-trained AI services. Um, then you have, APIs. And you don't need to code, right? That's the main thing. You don't really need to code. Whatever says 12 months free is available to you, but then you would see these are trial, like 3 months free. So comprehend is, so you have to think about the duration and the usage as well, right? Both of them together. So in computer vision, so spend good amount of time here. Like I said, I should, and we'll go back. We'll go back here. Yeah, one more thing I wanted to show you here before I go. This new customer onboarding, this is an excellent place to start if you don't have basic cloud information, right? So this is a good place to start. But for now, we're going here and we're just gonna, create a free account. I already have an account, so, but you'll say, give it a name, personal 2. It'll tell me that I already have. Make sure you secure. All right, so I will go back and I will find that code. So I will look for the MFA code. I've already set it up, so I have it. Just give me a second. I'll pause. All right, so I've verified my account. Now I've logged in here. Um, there's a couple of places that I want you to look at very closely. I have set up some favorites. If I click on my favorites, this should show me, okay, what are, what are some of the applications if I'm running any right now, because I just set up this account, right? All services, nothing, right? Now, I can go here as well, and I can search. We're going to be working on, say, SageMaker, right? So I can go and do Amazon SageMaker platform, and I am going to do Amazon SageMaker AI, and I'm going to save it, and I can just go directly from here. But we're not going to do that right now. We have a separate lab for it. So this is the layout. You can actually reset the layout if you like, and you can add widgets to it if you want. For example, if you have multiple instances, right? If you want to have, for example, in manage instances, um, you can move that one here, and that would create an application that I would manage, right? But like I said, this is not my intention right now. My intention is to basically just make you comfortable with the console, getting to know the console, and then once you're here, then start learning, right? So for example, when I click on this, getting started with AWS, right, you would find all the right tools, all the videos that you need to learn. For example, how do I create and activate a new AWS account, right? If you click on it, you'll find a very good video. This is a AWS console tour, excellent video for it as well, right? And for free tier services, the same information that I shared with you earlier, but if you want to hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak, right? These are AWS own expert. This is their own application. So I rely on their documentation, their videos a lot more than I would on anything else, right? Another thing that I want you to start thinking about is closely is documentation. Documentation is really key to your success. No matter where you go, whether you're working for a small organization, large organization, or you're already there, you want to make a move. And it doesn't matter if you're working in AI, cybersecurity, networking, programming. Documentation is key to your success, and that's what basically separates, someone who just watch a couple of YouTube videos and learn and pass the exam, and from someone who actually has the knowledge, has the framework, and the right attitude to be part of a technology solution. Okay. With that said, I'm going to stop this video. I will give you some more information on how to create it. I'll give you all the links where you can watch these videos one by one. Thank you very much. All right, so let's keep going with task statement 2.2. In previous lecture, we explored how to choose the right GenAI models based on factors like model type, performance, requirements, capabilities, constraints, and compliance, right? So picking the right model is key to making your GenAI project successful. So we've already covered model architectures in task 2.1. And I also have some questions and answers in the end that will help you review them. But let's dive deeper now. So GenAI foundation models can create various types of content, right? Text, images, code, video, and embeddings. So you can tweak these models for a specific task by adjusting their algorithms or structures, right? So how do you choose the right model? So choosing the right model for data generation matters because it directly affects the data quality, right? So these are the three popular models: variational autoencoders, or VAE, variational autoencoders, or GANs, generative adversarial networks, okay? And the third one is autoregressive models. Each has its strengths and weaknesses depending on the data's complexity and quality, right? So, but research continues to expand the field with more advanced models, and they're emerging constantly. So, foundation models have exploded in size and numbers since 2018, right? AWS has highlighted several key models. These models are trained on massive data sets and power many Gen AI capabilities. They're much larger than traditional machine learning models, which are typically built for more focused data sets, all right? They are, all right. These models are trained, or foundation models are trained on massive data sets, and they're larger than traditional machine learning models, okay? Because traditional machine learning models are more of a task focused or a niche focused or a line of business focused. So, that is not as large. So foundation models can be used to understand language, right? Or generate conversations, or create images. So different models excel in specific areas, right? Like stable diffusion for image generation and GPT-4 for language task as used in GPT-4. So they are incredibly versatile, producing outputs based on prompts with high accuracy. However, it's essential to track metrics to evaluate their performance. Okay. So important KPIs that you need to think about. KPIs are key performance indicator. Is the efficiency, right? Conversion rates, average revenue per user, customer lifetime value, accuracy, right? By tracking and analyzing the right metrics, you can assess how well your AI applications perform and plan for the future. You can ask for more budget, or you can determine if you need more people in your organization, or you need more services from external resources, right? However, dealing with vast amounts of business data can be challenging and time consuming. I can tell you that from real life, you know, in the field, that is really, gathering data, normalizing data, data governance, finding where everything is hiding is one of the most difficult and time consuming things, right? So, AWS tools like Lookout for Matrix, for example, right? Or Amazon Forecast will help by using machine learning to analyze data, identity patterns, and adapt in changing requirements, right? So again, foundation models bring both opportunities and challenges. We need to remember that. While they can generate high quality outputs aligned with business needs, they also risk hallucinations or false information, right? For real business value, these models need to work seamlessly with existing systems like, your ERP and your CRM platforms, your SAP and your Salesforce or Dynamics CRM, whatever you're using, right? So success with foundation models requires skilled employees. Okay. So everybody needs to hire more of you, right? Skilled and who can, I mean, these employees who can customize and manage them, right? Or design them along with the infrastructure to deploy them cost effectively because you need a lot of CPU power, right? So there's a lot of success of foundation models requires skilled employees. The quality of AI generated outputs measured by relevance, accuracy, coherence, and appropriateness plays a crucial role. So remember these are measured by relevance, accuracy, coherence, and appropriateness plays a crucial role, especially in customer facing tools like chatbots, right? You don't want to have any inappropriate conversation or you don't want to share something that you shouldn't be sharing with the customer. Efficiency metrics, such as reduced manual work and faster task completion rates, also matter, right? Because keeping error rates low ensures both accuracy and credibility in AI driven application, but it also, allows you to recalibrate your employees so, they can do more. Yeah. And finally, organization, when evaluating, they should evaluate the ROI or return on investment of foundation models by weighing their costs and benefits carefully, right? Metrics like CLTV, customer lifetime value help to scale a business through loyalty programs, personalized experiences, and cross-selling strategies, right? So also cross-domain performance metrics assesses how well models transfer knowledge across different tasks. And this is all actually adding to your bottom line, right? Or your top line. And remember, AI keeps evolving continuously, which means you need to continuously measure, monitor, and adjust your models to stay aligned and with your business goals. And you, as an expert in AI or soon to be an expert in AI, you need to keep evolving as well, learning more things every day. All right.
Retention and compliance, all right? Implementing data retention and compliance. So what do we mean here? So look, data retention involves defining the duration of storing data sets and models. All right. So you have to first figure out, all right, how long do I need this data for? Is there a regulatory requirement? Are there any compliance requirement? Is there company policy that needs me to keep data? What type of data do I need to keep? Do I keep all the data? Do I purge some of the data? And some of the things that you would find here is, your compliance frameworks, right? So as I was saying, that GDPR, HIPAA, and SOC 2 may require you to retain data, and you need to understand what is the specific requirement for the organization that you're working for, right? So now, you may work in a health industry, and HIPAA may be of question. You may work for a big e-retailer, and GDPR may be an issue for you. You may be getting audited, and SOC 2 may be an important document for you. Okay, so automating compliance checks. So you can use AWS config for continuous monitoring, and that's a really really big help, right? So when you get audited, you need to show that the history, right? You need to show basically the that you were monitoring everything, and this basically takes a big load off of a lot of people. So here is just a snapshot of, here, if you look at it, we're exporting it to S3. We've taken a snapshot of this database, which is just a test database. You just take a snapshot and then boom, you're done there, right? So, like I said, steps for completing compliance, right? You need to classify data based on sensitivity. It's extremely important. You need to define public, internal, confidential, secret, right? Sensitive. You need to classify your data and apply encryption policies, right? It's not only it's okay. It's not enough just to have an encryption policy between your servers when your servers are talking. But what about all the other workloads? What about the DevOps, right? So, and then you need to monitor data retention using automated tools. How do you, and AWS actually provides that to you. So the services that you need to remember here are AWS Config, which is compliance and monitoring, and AWS Audit Manager, which does audit reporting and compliance management. Okay, I'm going to repeat these because this is important. So for AWS services, AWS Config will help you with the compliance monitoring, and AWS Audit Manager will do an audit reporting and compliance management.
So, as we've been talking about encryption, right? I mentioned both symmetric encryption and asymmetric encryption. You see it here again on the slide for a reason because you may be asked. So, symmetric information uses one key for both encryption and decryption. An AWS service that you would use for that would be AWS Key Management Services, right? KMS. We've talked about it. But remember, again, asymmetric encryption uses a public-private key pair. Okay, and AWS Certificate Manager for managing SSL certificates. But look at this diagram here. Let me walk you through this diagram in a second, all right? So as you would see, I'm trying to make it a little bigger. So first one, step one is an identity and access management, right? In the top right section of the diagram, you can see the AWS Identity and Access Management Service, which is represented by orange box, right? IAM plays a crucial role in defining who has permission to perform actions in your environment. So we have two important IAM roles here. Bucket management role. This role allows a user or service to create, configure, and manage the S3 bucket itself. So, for example, if you're installing or an application in Amazon Q, you're using the assistance of the chatbot kind of an environment, but you want to feed it, you want to put your own data as a source. So you would upload that data, in a S3 bucket, right, or somewhere else. Another thing here is that key management role. I keep talking about it. This role controls permissions for managing encryption keys, right? So IAM policies here enforce security by defining who can access the resources and what actions they can perform. All right. On step two, moving to the KMS section in red, this is where cryptographic keys are managed securely. KMS helps you create, rotate, and control access to encryption keys, essential for safeguarding sensitive data, right? So here are two critical components. One is a customer master key, which also, known as CMK. The CMK is a primary encryption key stored in the KMS. Now, KMS key policy, you have to remember as well, this policy defines permissions for managing and using the CMK. The CMK is used to just generate data encryption, like data encryption keys, DEKs, all right? CMK, DEK, you'll get a hang of it. All right, so now let's move to the left side of the diagram where we see Amazon EC2. The EC2 instance represents a virtual server running in the AWS cloud, okay? So the bucket usage role is attached to this instance, okay? Remember, we talked about the bucket usage role, right? This role allows EC2 instance to access specific AWS resources. In this case, the S3 bucket for storage, right? And the roles ensure that only authorized instances can upload or download the data from S3 bucket. Now let's move on to S3 buckets, right? At the center, we have the Amazon S3 bucket, which is a key component which serves as the core storage service for data. And this is where you have to think about encryption as well, right? Because you have to encrypt data both in transit and at rest. So the bucket stores encrypted data and requires proper policies to ensure secure access, right? So a bucket policies is applied, here, in the at the bucket, right, at the Amazon S bucket, which help control access to the bucket level. This policy requires who can read, write, or manage data stored in this bucket, right? So now moving on, right? So encryption process in detail, if you think about it. So let's break down the encryption process step by step. Data encryption. So when the EC2 instance uploads data to S3 bucket, it encrypts the data using a data encryption key, DEK, all right? When EC2 instance uploads the data to the S3 bucket, it encrypts the data using DEK. Now, DEK is not randomly generated. It's created and managed by KMS using customer master key or CMK. Okay, so DK is not randomly generated. It's CMK, which is the customer master key, that is used to manage and create it. Okay, so what do you do with the encryption in transit at rest, right? So data needs to be encrypted both while in transit and in rest. So the DK encrypts the actual data while the CMK encrypts the DK itself, all right? So DK encrypts the actual data, all right? And CMK encrypts the DK itself, all right? This layered approach, so you see you have almost an onion, right? This layered approach ensures a strong security. So this method is not called onion, by the way, that was my terminology. This method is called envelope encryption, where DK protects the data and the CMK protects the DK. All right, so how does data encryption work, right? When an authorized EC2 instance wants to retrieve data from S3 bucket, right? Number one, it will request for encrypted data. The EC2 instance sends a request to the S3 bucket to retrieve the data. Now, the data is encrypted, right? The encrypted data and its associated encrypted DKs are returned to the instance. Now, what are you going to have to do, right? Now, because you're already getting an encrypted DK, right? So, this is where KMS gets involved. The encrypted DK is sent to KMS for decryption, right? And then you have your key policy check, which is the KMS checks the KMS key policy and verifies if the requester has the required permissions. That is also key management role, right? And then decrypted key, if permissions are valid, then KMS decrypts the DK and returns it to the EC2, okay? And final decryption. The instances then use the decrypted DK to decrypt the data for use. All right, this process actually ensures that even if the data is accessed without permission, it remains protected since the DK cannot be decrypted without KMS involvement. All right, so that's why KMS is extremely important, and that's why it shows up in your test quite a bit.
All right, let's dive into domain two. Domain two, I mean, is the second domain in AWS AWS AI exams guide. So I follow their rubric. That way, we're aligned with the questions, and then when you see questions in the exam, it would click to you is that what are they actually asking for, right? So let's dive into domain two. We will explore the fundamentals of Gen AI. We will continue discussing artificial intelligence concepts. Focus on Gen AI, a powerful subset of AI, right? This domain is structured around, domain two is structured around three key tasks. So basically, these are the key task statements that AWS has declared that you need to know in order for you to pass the exam or to get the certification, right? So each task statement focuses on a crucial aspect of GenAI. Okay, so over the several next lecture in this section, I'll break it down for you. So the task statement 2.1 says explain the basic concepts of GenAI. All right, we would do that, and we've done that as well. Task number 2.2 says describe the capabilities and limitations of GenAI for solving business problems. Fine, we will discuss some more use cases. We've done some more before, but we will recap that. Task statement 2.3 describe AWS infrastructure and technologies for building Gen AI applications. So these are the task statements that we're gonna dive more into. Okay, so let's start with, as I said in the beginning of the lecture, right? In domain 2, we will continue to talk about artificial intelligence and Gen AI. Basically, well, as we discussed, is broken down into task statement 2.1, explain the basic concepts of Gen AI. Task statement 2.2 describe the capabilities and limitations of Gen AI. And task 3 describe AWS infrastructure and technologies. So what we do is that think about, the first statement itself. So for the first task statement, to explain the basic concepts of Gen AI, you need to understand the basic definitions and differences between AI and Gen AI. Also, ensure you understand the different use cases for Gen AI models and the foundational model lifecycle. Okay, that's extremely important. Different use cases for Gen AI models and the foundational model lifecycle. The second task is to describe the capabilities and limitations of GenAI for solving business problems, and we'll get to that. You will need to ensure that you understand how to use GenAI, right, along with the potential advantages, and you should also know the risk, right? Also ensure that you understand different metrics and how to select the model to meet your requirements. And the third task is to describe AWS infrastructure and technologies for building GenAI applications. And for this task, ensure that you understand the AWS services and features that you can use to develop GenAI applications, right? So under task statement 2.2, for example, you will need to ensure that you understand the advantage of GenAI. When I get to 2.2, I'm going to reinforce this understanding. I'll remind you, but I'm saying this because it is important, and you'll most likely see it in the exam. All right, so what is the first task in domain 1, right? First task statement for domain 1 wants you to understand the basic concepts of Gen AI, right? So this task statement is split into, 5 lessons, right? So you can, and we have talked about it, the different use cases. We've talked about what the differences between Gen AI, machine learning, and deep learning, and there are more lectures on that as well. So don't worry if you are not sure where how to handle this much information, right? We'll also talk about subsets like deep learning. So deep learning, Gen AI is a multi-purpose technology that helps to generate new original content rather than finding or classifying existing content. So as the name suggests, Gen AI focuses on creating new content such as text, images, audio, video, even code, right? You can ask a Gen AI app to write you a Python application, or give you a JSON, right? They'll do that for you. So in the you see, in previous lectures, we've talked about how generative AI uses foundation models, and you'll hear a lot about it in my lectures on Bedrock, right? So if you don't understand foundation models, don't worry. So foundation models are very large and complex neural network models with billions of parameters that are learned during the training phase or pre-training phase, and that takes time, right? The size of the models have increased by increasing the number of trainable parameters, right? And the more parameters a model has, the more memory it has. So the model can perform more advanced tasks, right? So you can either use these models that are available as they are, or apply fine tuning techniques to adapt them to your specific use cases, right?
So models are at the core of GenAI. That's one thing that you need to remember. Models are at the core, right? And again, models are built neural networks, system resources, data, and prompts. Okay, I'm going to repeat this. Models are built with neural networks, system resources, data prompts, data and prompts, all working together, and they have to work together. And when you build a model, you train it with the knowledge it needs to generate unique output, right? Based on what it has learned. So the models take the data or text that you input and provide an output. All right. This is in a nutshell what a model does. All right. You also want to understand, right? I mean, continuing with this task. So there are publicly available pre-trained foundation models such as SageMaker, Jumpstart, and we'll talk about that in the. I have a whole lecture on SageMaker, so we'll talk about that more in detail. But remember that every language-based Gen AI model has a tokenizer that converts human text into a vector that contains token IDs or input IDs. I'm going to repeat this because this is important. Every language-based Gen AI model has a tokenizer. Okay, token, by the way, in AWS means money, right? We talked about that earlier. Has a tokenizer that converts human text, the text that you put in, into a vector that contains token IDs or input IDs. Each input ID there represents a token in the model's vocabulary, right? Let's pause and yeah, I mean, let's just ask ourselves, what is vector? Do you know what is a vector? All right. So vector is an ordered list of numbers that represent features or attributes, right? So in the context of Gen AI, vectors might represent words, phrases, sentences, or other units, right? And the power of vector representation is in the ability to encode related relationships between the items, right? So otherwise, how are you going to remember which packet matches with the other, right? Between, all right. So I said that a vector is a list of numbers, but it also indicates where that last list of numbers is located within a space, right? So think of a vector as an Excel spreadsheet. So a list of numbers or vectors, right, would indicate a specific location in a particular space or in a vector database, right? In the same way, the column and row number in Excel spreadsheet indicate a certain cell in that spread. So you can say K2, right? K2 times C1. So you're actually, defining the location and you're defining an action, right? The embedding vector is a set of input IDs necessary to yeah. So then it's necessary to obtain each token's dimensional representation, right? So what is embedding vectors? Right? Embedding vectors, or also called embedding, right? Embeddings are a numerical vectorized representation of an entity. So embedding captures the semantic meaning of tokens, such as text, image, or of any entity, right? And if and the closer the tokens are to each other in the vector space, the more similar they are in the semantic meaning. Do you understand that? The closer the tokens are to each other in the vector space, right? So if K12 and K11 in your Excel sheet, right, they're closer, the more similar they are in semantic meaning. In this way, the model can generate text based on relationships between these vectors, right? So embeddings are passed to the self attention layers, which are another key component of the transformer. Okay? So I think I've said that in previous lecture, but I'll repeat it here. The core element of Gen AI is the transformer network. Okay. At its core, Gen AI is a machine learning technique that creates content, right? And then and mimics human. We've said that before. But an innovation of transformers is the self-attention mechanism, all right? This mechanism helps the model to weigh the importance of different parts of input, okay, when generating each output token. What happens then? The model captures long range dependencies and contextual relationships that are difficult to learn with previous architectures, right? Such as the previous one were called recurrent neural networks, right? Or RNNs. So self attention works by computing a set of query, key, and value vectors, and for each input token. Then it uses the dot products between these vectors to determine the attention weights. This is I understand this is a little too much for you right now, but that's okay. As long as you hear these terms, as long as you have someone talked about these terms, they may show up in your exam, and you may say, "All right, I got it." All right. So moving on
To designing secure access and data protection, right? So what are you basically doing here? What does security in AI actually means? You're preventing unauthorized access, like you would with any of your other assets, whether IT assets or non-IT assets, right? Tangible or intangible. You would want to ensure integrity of data because you want people to trust that your data has not been compromised, right? So same thing that you would do in securing any application. This is the same principle, right? And then here's something new is that you have to now protect your model artifacts because these models that you build, either LLMs or foundation models, or you build your RAG, they are your artifacts, they are your assets, right? So basically that's how that's what you need to do in order to manage your domain, protect your AI domain. Okay, so couple of things that you want to think about here is that a secure system must prioritize data confidentiality, integrity, and availability triad, right? So what are we doing here? Yeah, we're talking about data confidentiality, integrity, and availability, the CIA triad that is called. So, what is CIA triad, right? It is a secure system that's designed, and the design includes threat modeling and identifying potential vulnerabilities, right? So, using that secure AI systems, that the CIA triad, what AWS does, it shows you it has the products, it has the services, do not only protect your system, but also do threat modeling and determine what may come next. Also, it incorporates a zero trust architecture and least privilege principles. We'll be talking about those two. Least privilege principle is something that you should commit to your memory because you'll see some questions around it. Excuse me, let me just get some water. So the key services, right? You'll be looking at would be AWS well architected tool, right? This provides guidance on secure architecture. It's like a playbook for you. And AWS Security Hub, it centralizes security posture management, right? Uh, I'll have some quizzes also coming around for this. So let me just move on to the next slide here. This is a big one, all right? You have to understand if you're working with AWS as to what are they protecting and what are you protecting, right? So if you look at this chart, basically AWS responsibility is to providing physical security of data centers where the machines are, where the servers are, networking infrastructure, and services. Okay, so that's what they're committing to do. They're saying, "Hey, we're taking responsibility of the stuff that we have, the physical infrastructure that we have built. All right, you, Mr. Customer or Miss Customer, are responsible for protecting data applications and identity management. So you need to be prepared to protect your data, your applications, and make sure that someone without access, without role or need, does not have access to the applications, right? So the identity management is your responsibility. Data and applications protection is your responsibility as a customer. All right. Moving on.
All right, so let's talk about the exam itself. How do you prepare? I have taken, I would say, nearly 100 certification exams in the span of 30 years. Several of them that I did not renew, several of them that I had to renew. So yeah, I have taken a lot of exams. And what I'm going to tell you right now on this slide is not specific to this exam, but any other, AWS exams or you want to take, right? So, especially on this one, what you want to do is focus on service capabilities, right? So, what are the services that AWS is offering? You should know the names around, what is Bedrock, what is Q, right? What is recognition? And we will be talking about more and more of these products and services so that you can remember them, you can recall them. Second thing of importance is, you need to think about eliminating wrong answers. So, look, there are people who take exams by looking for the right answer. That's an approach as well. But the approach that works for many of us who take these technology focused exams is to eliminate the wrong answers. Is if you have four choices, A, B, C, D, two of them would be obvious wrong answers, right? So just eliminating that brings your success from, potential 25% now to 50%. So that's one way of looking at it. Third and most another important thing here is that time management. In this exam, I mean, it varies from exam to exam, but the way AIF C01 is set up, that you should think about is spending about 90 seconds per question. Okay? So, what we'll do here, we'll try to understand the exam, the types of questions that might be used on a AIF CO1 exam, what is required to submit an answer for each type of question, right? So, strategies to effectively answer those questions, right? So we will definitely talk about this quite a bit. When it comes to the type of questions, right? So you will have, uh, you can potentially have, multiple choice question, right? So you could have multiple choice question or multiple response questions. The difference is that in multiple choice question, you may pick one right answer, right? One correct response and three distractors. In multiple response questions, you have to select more than one. So you can select two or so there you have multiple choices that you need to make. So you have to think about eliminating incorrect choices right there, and that pretty much brings you home. Think about the keywords like least or most in those type of questions. Then you have ordering questions. So a little bit about multiple choice question again, right? So let's think about how you would want to handle it, right? So if the multiple choice question is a scenario question, read the scenario and question very carefully. Look for the number of response options required to answer the question, right? So multiple choice questions require you to select one option to answer the question. So just to make sure that you know if they're asking you to pick one or pick multiple, right? So usually you can see it by radio button or a score that at a check score, right? That you can figure out. Uh, Identify keywords, right? Or information. For example, look for important details in the scenario, such as information related to service requirements, right? Also watch for keywords in the question like least, most, operational overhead, and cost effective. Eliminate incorrect answer choice that, as I said before, review the keywords and information you identified to help eliminate incorrect answer choices and select the correct option, right? Okay, so and we'll go over many of these type of questions as we practice more, right? In multiple response questions, as we said, if you have to select two, so think about those, and again, pay attention to some of the keywords like least, most, operational overhead, cost effective. uh, Again, do the same in the ordering. So you have to identify keywords or information, right? So look for important details in the question. So if they're asking you to, order things, that there has to be some kind of an order that you want to start doing, right? So before submitting an answer, confirm that correct number of responses are selected, right? So if you were asked to select two or three, you have selected those. If the question states each response should be selected once, do a quick check to confirm. It's just, you know, just basic, you know, san these are sanity checks, if you will, of the exam, and we'll definitely keep reminding you of those, right? And then in matching, of course, if you're being asked to match a business requirement with a or a use case with a service, you need to know what that service they're talking about, right? So you need to know the services that we keep that we will be mentioning here. Okay, so again, these are the strategies that have helped me and many of my peers and thousands and thousands of others, and my students and my people that I learned together with. We have used these strategies to pass many exams, right? So the first thing, which is kind of a uh, not as specific to this exam, is to pay attention to scenario details and keywords, right? So no matter which exam you're taking, you've got to do that. But especially in this exam, especially because it is a cloud hosted AI services, right? So those services are cost effective, right? Reduce operational overhead if the customer's challenges. So think about those kind of keywords that would come in, and use the process of elimination, right? Narrow down the options systematically. So focus on likely correct responses. You can do that too. uh, and then of course use your time properly. Utilize tools like mark for review if you don't know some if you're not 100% sure, and do digital notes for complex questions. Use all the tools that you have available. If you don't know all the tools, maybe it would be a good idea to just go and look up at YouTube, search for what those exams, wherever you're taking exam, right? Guess. If you're going to guess, there's no penalty for guessing, right? So there is no, like, you don't have any negative marking here. So uh, you should it is in your best interest to ensure that all questions are answers, because there is no negative marking, right? So but when you're guessing, don't just close do an any mini money mo, or and check one. Think of it very carefully. Okay, then my advice to everybody is that practice, practice, practice. Use official practice question sets and bonus questions. There are several questions that I have included in this course. We will continue to add more and more questions as the exams are updated. So yeah, continue to practice as much as you can, and you will not go wrong with that. Now, here are some of the example questions, right? I mean, if you were this question asks you to select two, so then you're selecting B and D, for example, here, right? This question is asking you to order, select and order the AWS infrastructure layers from largest scope to smallest scope, right? So it gives you the correct order: AWS region, availability, and zone subnet, right? Yeah, I mean they should have been a zone should have been a fourth option here. Okay, so that's what I wanted to show you. Now, again, just to wrap it up, reminder, please track time for each question, review answers before moving forward, and use practice resources for, do as many practice questions as possible. Keep doing it, and you will be fine.